Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into one of the most brain-bending metaphysical mysteries out there. We're going to strip away all those everyday assumptions you have about your life and ask a surprisingly tough question. What exactly makes you, you? It sounds super simple at first, right? But I promise, by the end of this, you're going to look at your reflection in the mirror a whole lot differently. We'll be looking at classic philosophical debates, physical realities, and even a completely wild sci-fi thought experiment to really get to the bottom of personal identity. Okay, let's dive into this. Are you genuinely the exact same person you were 10 years ago? Your gut instinct is probably to just say, well, yeah, obviously. But let's actually challenge that baseline assumption for a second. Biologically speaking, your physical body is literally constantly shedding dead skin cells and regenerating over time. Think about it like a car. If you replace the spark plugs, it's still your car, right? But what if every single piece is replaced over a decade? Your body is in this constant state of flux, tossing out the old material and bringing in the new. So if the physical matter making up your body today is dramatically different from the matter that made up your body when you were a kid, what's the anchor? What exactly keeps you, you? To answer that, we first need to figure out what a person actually is. And philosophers tell us it's about being capable of complex thought, experiencing diverse feelings, retaining personal memories, and being held morally accountable for your actions. See, it goes way beyond just being a biological human. What separates us from, say, a wooden table? A table persists through time, sure, but it doesn't have a mind. If a highly intelligent animal or an advanced AI hit all these bullet points, philosophers argue we might actually have to consider them a person too. So if being a person is all about the mind, how does that mind actually connect to your physical body? Well, that brings us to a massively influential theory from 1641 proposed by René Descartes. He looked at this divide and came up with what we call substance dualism. He was incredibly enthusiastic about the idea that humans aren't just one single thing. Instead, we're made of two fundamentally distinct, completely different substances. On the one hand, you've got your physical body, but on the other hand, you have this immaterial thinking mind or soul. For Descartes, this immaterial mind is what truly matters. It's the absolute core of your identity, and he even believed it could exist entirely beyond the physical body after you pass away. Let's look at the intense conceptual contrast in how Descartes divided up reality. Think about the body. It's physical matter. It has actual dimensions, height, length, width. It's solid, it takes up a specific spatial location, and you can't just pass through it. But then think about the mind. Descartes argued the mind is completely unextended. It has absolutely zero physical dimensions. It takes up no space whatsoever, it doesn't have a location, and it's almost transparent, kind of like a ghost. It is purely a thinking substance. I mean, you can't measure a thought with a ruler, right? But here is where Descartes' elegant theory runs headfirst into a massive, almost insurmountable brick wall. We call it the interaction problem. If the mind is truly this completely non-spatial, zero-dimension ghost, how on earth does a ghost move a solid object? Think about it. If you kick a football, physical mass is transferring energy to physical mass. But if your mind has absolutely no physical mass, how can it possibly reach out and push your solid, heavy body to do anything? How can something with zero physical substance interact with something entirely made of physical substance? Think about the last time you felt really, truly embarrassed. What happened? Your face probably turned bright red, right? This is actually the perfect real-world example of the interaction problem. We call it the blushing paradox. How does an abstract, completely non-physical feeling like embarrassment or shame somehow reach into the biological machinery of your body and literally force physical blood to rush to your cheeks? Or think about pain. You touch a hot stove. How does that physical damage translate into the non-physical sensation of pain, which then magically causes the non-physical mind to tell your physical leg muscles to run away? If the mind and body are entirely separate substances, like Descartes claimed, this everyday interaction seems literally impossible. Because of this glaring mind-body interaction problem, later thinkers tried a totally different route. Let's step away from physical forms entirely. In 1690, the philosopher John Locke proposed a brilliant alternative solution that focused purely on the mind itself. He called it psychological continuity. Locke argued that we should just stop worrying about what physical substance we're made of. Instead, he claimed that your personal identity over time is founded strictly on continuous consciousness and your specific chain of memories. So the crucial point here is the memory link. The physical body replaces parts constantly, but identity easily survives that physical change because an unbroken chain of memories links your past to your present. Basically, you are you simply because you remember your past self. Locke's logic elegantly bypasses the whole shifting nature of our bodies. You are definitively the exact same person who was a misbehaving kid in school all those years ago, strictly because you actually remember being that past self. As long as that memory link holds up, you are you. But it's time to put John Locke's incredibly neat psychological theory to the ultimate test. We're going to pivot from 17th century philosophy into a bizarre but super effective science fiction thought experiment. Because if memory truly equals identity, what happens when we mess with those memories using hypothetical technology? Prepare yourselves, because this scenario is going to thoroughly shatter the comfort of Locke's tidy little theory. Let's use a classic example. Imagine the universe of Star Trek. Captain Kirk steps onto the transporter pad, ready to be beamed down to a planet. The operator, Scotty, stands at the console and initiates the sequence. The machine scans Kirk's physical body and his entire brain state down to the very last atom. The plan is to destroy the original body and perfectly rebuild it on the planet below. But suddenly, Scotty looks at his console and realizes something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. The machine has completely malfunctioned. Here is the paradox. The machine actually successfully built the perfect duplicate of Captain Kirk at the destination. It copied every single physical cell, every firing neuron, and completely duplicated his exact brain state and every single memory he's ever had. But the terrifying existential dilemma is this. The machine failed to terminate the first Kirk on the transporter pad. The original Kirk is still standing there, completely intact, and a perfect duplicate is standing on the planet below. This means two separate Captain Kirks now exist simultaneously in the universe. Just imagine the climax of the scenario. Both copies of Captain Kirk survive the ordeal. They're brought into the exact same room. They lock eyes. The Kirk from the transporter pad says, "I am the real Kirk." And the Kirk from the planet points right back and legitimately argues, "No way, I am Kirk. I remember stepping onto the pad just a second ago." Both of them possess absolute 100% conviction. And psychologically speaking, neither of them is lying. And this brilliantly illustrates our identity crisis. Both Kirks possess absolutely identical past memories. Both feel perfectly continuous with the original Kirk. Locke's theory says memory equals identity, but one person cannot numerically be two people. Locke's theory completely collapses here. By his own rule, both of these men are the one true Captain Kirk. But logically and mathematically, that is completely impossible. One single person cannot be two distinct people standing in a room arguing with each other. So identity can't simply be our memories, if our memories can just be perfectly copied into a second physical body. Which brings us to our final lingering question. If a machine could hypothetically duplicate your memories, your brain state, and your entire mind, which one of the resulting beings is the real you? Is it the one with the original physical matter? Or does the physical matter not matter at all? We started by asking what makes you the same person you were 10 years ago. We've seen that the dualism of mind and body is fraught with impossibilities, and the continuity of memory totally falls apart the second we introduce a duplicate. So I leave you staring at this unsolvable paradox. Are you truly just your memories? Or is personal identity a much deeper, far more mysterious phenomenon that we've yet to truly uncover? Thanks for exploring this with me today. Keep questioning and keep thinking.